On the day I underwent surgery alone, I came across a Facebook post from my husband's white moonlight. Thank you, Brother Nathan, for bringing me to see the aurora. The accompanying image showed the two of them cuddling together under the aurora. I liked it and commented, what a perfect match. The next second, my husband's reproachful call came in. Elena, are you sick? Celia just got divorced and is in a bad mood. I brought her out to relax. What are you being sarcastic about? Because of your one sentence, she's crying again. Then, the woman said with a sobbing voice, Brother Nathan, I'm fine. Don't say that about sister. After the surgery, I saw the First Love's Facebook post tagging me, thank you, Brother Nathan, for the fireworks all over the sky. I knew this was his way of cheering her up. After being discharged, I proposed divorce. When I received Nathan's call, I had just left the law firm. His voice was cold and his tone displeased. Where are you? I paused for a moment and replied, outside. What's wrong? Come back immediately, I have something to ask you. With that, he hung up directly. I let out a soft sigh, looking at the photo of Nathan and me on the phone screen, feeling a surge of helplessness in my heart once again. Upon arriving home, I saw Nathan sitting on the sofa with a dark face. Hearing the sound, he turned to look at the door. Where have you been? I didn't know what madness had overtaken him, he was so angry as soon as he saw me. I had some matters outside, what's wrong? As soon as I finished speaking, I saw him stride quickly to me, lift his hand to pinch my chin, and roar, tell the truth, did you go to see a wild man? You've only been out for a few days, and you're already finding a wild man behind my back. He used great force, pinching my chin painfully. I struggled hard to break free from his control and roared irritably, what madness are you in? When did I find a wild man? Fine, you won't admit it, huh? Nathan said, taking out his phone, flipping to a photo, and shoving it in my face. Then explain this, who's this man next to you? I frowned at the photo on his phone. It was from the day before yesterday at the hospital, when the escort I hired returned with my medicine and was explaining the precautions to me. The photo was taken from a tricky angle, making it look somewhat ambiguous at first glance. Are you blind? Where do you see that the person is a man? It's a girl with short hair. Nathan was stunned, but his gaze toward me still carried suspicion. The next second, he asked uncertainly, really? Are you sure you're not lying to me? I was slightly taken aback, looking at the man I had loved for 5 years in front of me. His first reaction upon receiving the photo was not to care why I was in the hospital or if I was sick, but to question who the stranger in the photo was. If you zoom in on the photo, you can see clearly, there's a needle in my hand, and 4 stand beside me, and the other person's hand has manicured nails. She's the escort I hired, a girl with short hair. With that, I took out my phone and dialed the other party's number. Hello, sister, what's up? Hearing the girl's voice, Nathan's body stiffened. Nothing, just someone mistook you for a boy, so I'm calling to prove it. The other side first exclaimed in surprise, then understandingly explained, is it brother-in-law? Sister, explain it well to him, I'm a girl, professionally doing escort services. If brother-in-law has any doubts, we can meet in person, and I'll explain face to face. It's fine, he just loves me too much and doesn't want others around me. While saying this, I didn't forget to observe Nathan's reaction. As expected, his brows furrowed slightly. After 5 years of marriage, I knew that his frowning meant he was unhappy or disdainful. The other party laughed heartily, wished us a long and lasting relationship, and hung up. I looked up at Nathan and asked expressionlessly, do you believe it now? He pursed his lips and nodded, saying nothing. Is there anything else? If not, I'm going to take a shower. Wait, earlier I misunderstood without clarifying, I apologize to you. This is the gift I brought for you. He said, turning to pick up 2 small boxes from the table and handing them to me. Why 2? I looked at him puzzled. Upon hearing this, Nathan's eyes showed a touch of gentleness. This one is from me to you, and this one is from Celia to you. Celia is taking the initiative to show goodwill and give you a step down. What you did on Facebook before was indeed a bit excessive, apologize to her later, and it'll be over. I accepted the one from him but directly refused the other. I don't want this one, give it back to her. Hearing this, Nathan's face darkened again. I thought his face-changing speed was almost like a national treasure. What do you mean? It was your fault to begin with. Celia has taken the initiative to show goodwill, but you insist on being shameless and making everyone embarrassed, right? I sneered, I have my own face, why do I need hers? Slap. My words were interrupted by Nathan's slap. After 5 years of marriage, all feelings dissipated completely in this slap. Nathan was also stunned for a moment, subconsciously looking at the hand that hit me, seeming not to expect that he would hit me. You reflect on yourself properly. Leaving these words, Nathan slammed the door and left. This wasn't the first time Nathan had laid hands on me. The last time he did was also because of Celia. Half a year ago, Celia left her marriage with nothing, only taking her child with her ex-husband. Perhaps because she had always been a full-time housewife before, with no job or income. The penniless mother and child had nowhere to go and had to beg everywhere. Upon learning the news, Nathan proactively helped Celia's mother and child, giving them a house and money, showing signs of rekindling old flames. That was the first time I learned that Nathan had a first love, White Moonlight, whom he had loved for many years but didn't end up with. Because of this, we had our first argument. Nathan said he only treated Celia as a friend, seeing the orphan and widow truly pitiful. He also blamed me, saying that as a woman myself, I was so petty and jealous. After that argument, we slept in separate rooms. After a few days of Cold War, I felt something unusual in my body and went to the hospital, only to find out I was pregnant. I was very happy. We had always wanted a child, but unfortunately, work was too busy to make it happen. After finding out I was pregnant, I originally wanted to tell Nathan right away. But thinking that my birthday was in 2 days, I decided to tell him then. On my birthday, I prepared a table full of dishes and quietly waited for Nathan to come back. At 7 in the evening, he came back. But what I didn't expect was that he brought Celia and that child with him. He said, the house Celia rented before is unsafe. She found several times that strange men were following her. I'm worried about her safety and want her and the child to stay at our house for now. Hearing his words, my blood turned cold inch by inch, and the original anticipation and joy were swept away. Of course, I disagreed. Therefore, Nathan and I argued again in front of Celia. Perhaps to maintain his male dignity, or perhaps he was really angry, toward the end of the argument, he suddenly pushed me hard. Caught off guard, I was pushed directly to the ground. Holding Celia's hand, he looked down at me condescendingly, since you're unwilling, then you can guard this broken house by yourself. With that, he took Celia's mother and child and left triumphantly. As Celia went out, she turned back and gave me a smug look. It was because of Nathan's push that I miscarried. I was sent to the hospital by kind neighbors, and the doctor said with a hint of regret, your constitution isn't easy to conceive, you've just been pregnant for a few weeks, and the fetus hasn't stabilized yet. You should be more careful. After the miscarriage, I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. During the re-examination, the doctor said I had uterine adhesions and needed a curettage surgery. I was very scared at the time, afraid I could never have my own child again. I put down my dignity and face, crying as I called Nathan. But the call was hung up, and later I saw Celia's Facebook. Thank you, brother Nathan, for bringing me to see the aurora. Thank you for remembering my past wish. At that moment, it felt like my soul had been drained. My husband, while I was undergoing surgery, crossed half the earth to accompany another woman in fulfilling her past wish. I felt like a clown, ridiculous and ironic. I stared at the photo of the two cuddling together, liked it, and commented, what a perfect match. The next second, Nathan's reproachful call came, Elena, are you sick? Celia just got divorced and is in a bad mood. I brought her out to relax. What are you being sarcastic about? Because of your one sentence, she's crying again. Then came Celia's sobbing consolation, brother Nathan, I'm fine, don't say that about sister. I hung up the phone, smiling self-mockingly. I booked an escort online, responsible for paying fees, fetching medicine, and running errands for me. After the surgery, I picked up my phone and found someone had tagged me on Facebook. Upon checking, it was Celia's post again, "Thank you, Brother Nathan, for the fireworks all over the sky." She also commented below herself, "A man who understands romance really adds points." I knew this was Nathan's way of cheering her up. Lying on the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, only 2 words were in my mind: divorce. So after discharge, I went to the law firm first thing. The next day, I received the divorce agreement from the lawyer. I looked it over carefully, found no issues, and forwarded it directly to Nathan. Then I started packing my luggage. In less than half an hour, Nathan rushed back hurriedly. Coming with him, of course, was Celia. "Elena, what do you mean by the file you sent me?" I stopped what I was doing, turned to look at him. "Divorce, isn't the file name written with the big words, divorce agreement? Can't you read?" "You." Before Nathan could speak, Celia started crying first. She plopped down on her knees in front of me, tears coming as she said, leaving me stunned. "Sister Elena, I'm sorry, I know you're proposing divorce because of misunderstanding between me and Brother Nathan. But we really have nothing. Perhaps we loved each other once, but now we have different lives. I have a child, he has a family, now we're really just pure friends. Brother Nathan just saw us, orphan and widow, pitiful, so he kindly helped us. Sister Elena, I beg you, don't be angry, don't argue because of me. If Sister Elena doesn't want to see me, then I'll take the child and leave now, guaranteeing not to appear in front of you again." After Celia finished speaking, she got up to leave. But somehow, she only got halfway up and knelt back down. Seeing his beloved crying, Nathan couldn't care less about me beside him and hugged her up at once. "Celia, get up quickly, you still have an injury on your leg," he said, then glared at me viciously again. "Why do you have so many issues in a day? Celia's leg injury is because of you, can you stop tormenting her?" I was completely confused, not knowing what I had done to injure Celia's leg. Later, I learned that it was because on the day of my surgery, after seeing Celia's Facebook, I commented on the 2 of them. Because of that, Celia kept crying, and as a result, when going down the mountain, she didn't watch the road, fell, and bumped her leg. I hurriedly flipped out the first aid kit from the cabinet and stuffed it to Nathan. "Deal with it first, don't die at home later, it will affect the house price." Upon hearing this, the 2 who originally had different expressions both darkened their faces. Celia started crying again, crying so miserably. I suspected she might have been a faucet in her previous life, otherwise, how could she cry so much? "Elena, how can you be so vicious? You're too much." I nodded in agreement. "Yes, I'm too much." Sign quickly. Once signed, you won't have to worry anymore and won't see such a vicious person like me. While speaking, I stuffed the printed divorce agreement to him. Nathan was stunned for a moment, looking at me incredulously. "You really want to divorce me?" "Yes, otherwise do you think I'm joking with you? When have you seen me joke about divorce?" "You." Celia's timely cry of pain pulled Nathan's heart back. He picked up Celia, glanced at me. "I'll send Celia to the hospital first, whatever matters, we'll talk when I return." With that, he ran off holding Celia. I watched the 2 leave and continued packing my luggage. I had planned everything afterward. After divorcing Nathan, I would go abroad to continue fulfilling my past dreams. Originally, I had the opportunity to get an exchange student spot. But at that time I had just gotten together with Nathan, and he couldn't bear for me to go. My mentor strongly recommended me to go. I struggled for a while and ultimately chose to give up. At that time, my heart and eyes were full of Nathan. But unexpectedly, this was the result in the end. But I didn't regret it. People always have to bear the consequences of their mistakes. As long as I still have time and opportunity, it's not too late to remedy. After packing, I contacted the company to resign. But the boss didn't agree. She asked which country I was going to. Upon learning I was going to Italy, she said the company has a branch there too, I can go there for temporary assignment, retaining my work permissions and position. Hearing this, what didn't I understand? The boss just couldn't bear to let a talent like me go. The boss said the time is flexible. After I do the work handover and handle my personal affairs, I can go anytime, and she will greet them in advance. I agreed. That evening, when Nathan returned, he saw me sitting quietly on the sofa waiting for him. He was stunned seeing me and asked, "You're waiting for me?" I nodded, "Yes, waiting for you to sign." Nathan took a deep breath, walked to me, squatted down, and said very melancholically, "Elena, stop making a fuss, okay? Celia and I really have nothing. I admit, she is my first love, but that's all in the past. I helped her because she's pitiful, just for the sake of past affection. Why do you have to hold on to it?" I frowned at him and countered, "Finished?" He nodded dazedly. I withdrew my hand and pushed the divorce agreement toward him again. "Sign it, I'm not joking with you. I want a divorce just because I feel this marriage has no necessity to continue. Perhaps it has something to do with Celia, but it's definitely not the decisive factor." "Elena." Nathan stood up and growled lowly, "What exactly do you want?" "I've said Celia and I have no relation, we have nothing. Why can't you understand good from bad?" I looked up at him, shaking my head helplessly. "I've also said, I want a divorce. The divorce has nothing to do with her. Just feel there's no need to continue this marriage. Can't you understand?" Nathan's body stiffened, his face gloomy. After a long silence, he spoke faintly, "You, serious? Really want to divorce me?" I nodded heavily, "Yes." Suddenly, Nathan laughed out loud. "Elena, do you think if we divorce now, who suffers? Look at yourself now. Besides me, which man would want you? Can you find someone better than me after leaving me?" In an instant, I felt like the Nathan in front of me was possessed by something. I seemed not to recognize him at all. Clearly, we had shared a bed for 5 years. How could he say such strange words? I suddenly thought of an online saying, "If you're looking, find someone who is inherently good, not someone who looks good." I always thought Nathan was the former, he was the latter. I just stared at him like that, my eyes sore terribly. A tear dropped out without warning. Nathan panicked a bit. He quickly raised his hand to wipe it for me, but I dodged. "Nathan, I'm tired, sign it, let's part amicably." Nathan was stunned for a moment, retreated 2 steps, looking at me in shock. He shook his head frantically, "I won't sign, I won't sign. If it's because I contact Celia too much, I promise not to contact her anymore. I'll delete her now, okay?" He tried to start retaining me, negotiating terms with me. I didn't understand what Nathan was thinking. It seemed I couldn't read him at all. The person he liked in his heart was clearly Celia, but now when I divorce him, he doesn't agree. Honestly, if Nathan had agreed straightforwardly, I would respect him as a man. But his current behavior only makes me look down on him. "Up to you, since you won't sign, I can only use other methods." With that, I got up and went upstairs. In the following half-month, I chose to directly ignore Nathan's existence. I quickly handed over my work, contacted the school for exchange study, and had the lawyer submit the divorce lawsuit. The day Nathan received the court summons, I also received the good news that my exchange study application was approved. That night, Nathan's face looked very ugly. He asked me, "Do we have to go to this step?" I looked at him puzzled. "Isn't it because you won't sign that I had no choice but to sue? If you signed, why would I bother with this effort?" Nathan choked, said "good" 3 times in a row, turned and left. He didn't come back for the next few days, which gave me time to say goodbye to colleagues and a few friends. On the court day, I didn't attend, let the lawyer fully represent me. By then, I was already on the plane to Italy. Upon landing, I turned on my phone and saw dozens of missed calls from Nathan and over 100 messages. I chose to delete all and block him. Then I happily went to report. After finishing the enrollment and job reporting, I saw the lawyer's message. "Ms. Elena, the defendant Mr. Nathan refuses divorce, insisting that there is still affection between you as husband and wife. In this case, it's hard for you to divorce. Looking at the lawyer's message, I rubbed my chin, thought, and replied, "It's fine, I didn't plan to divorce in one go. Wait half a year and sue again, then I might trouble you to go to court again." The other party replied received, and there was no more movement. In the first few days in Italy, I was indeed a bit unaccustomed to the diet and environment. But my adaptability is good, it got better in less than a week. A month later, just as my work and studies entered a normal phase, Nathan, not knowing what madness, actually came to Italy to find me. Seeing me, he was full of joy. "Wife, I finally found you." I frowned at him, stepped back 2 steps to distance. "How did you know I'm here?" Nathan's smile stiffened, seeming struck by my subconscious retreat. I asked around, "Just worried about you, came to check." "I'm fine, if nothing, go back, remember to sign soon." With that, I bypassed him and left. He grabbed my wrist, looking at me pitifully. "Wife, I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. You don't know how I got through this month you disappeared, every day opening and closing eyes, my mind is full of you. I seem to have long been accustomed to your existence, your voice, scent, appearance are deeply engraved in my heart. Only now do I know how much I love you." Hearing this, I suddenly felt it was somewhat funny. I struggled hard to free my hand, sneering, "You love me? How come I didn't feel it? If you love me, what about Celia?" Nathan shook his head. "We ignore her, whether she lives or dies has nothing to do with me. I've deleted and blocked her, the house is coming back too. So wife, come back with me, I promise to love you well from now on, absolutely won't make you angry again, please give me another chance." Actually, I knew early that Nathan and Celia had fallen out. In my first week in Italy, I received Celia's message. The words were full of insults. "Bitch, I really underestimated you, you even know to advance by retreating. Bitch, you don't think this little trick can control Nathan, right? I tell you, I can definitely snatch Nathan back. Elena, if divorcing, hurry up, don't keep dragging and blocking our good thing. The one not loved should leave." She rambled and cursed a lot. I screenshot all and sent to the previous lawyer. Later, probably the lawyer warned Celia, she didn't send me messages anymore. Moreover, mutual friends of Nathan and me told me Nathan sued Celia to repay the money. It was from friends that I learned, in just a few months this year, he spent nearly $1 million on Celia. Seeing the message, besides shock, there was some sadness. After all, Nathan and I married for 5 years, he might not have spent this much on me. As the saying goes, where a man's money is, there his love is. At that moment, I was glad I timely withdrew and proposed divorce, thanking myself for saving myself. I refused Nathan and told him, "I want divorce just because I don't love you anymore, other external factors may exist, but not loving is the most important." Hearing I don't love him, Nathan completely broke down. He questioned me, "How can you not love me? You clearly loved me a lot before." I smiled, "You said it, that was before." With that, I left without looking back. Before, every time it was me watching his back, this time, it was me leaving him only a departing back. Nathan, not knowing if really stimulated, actually rented a house at high price next to where I live. For his childish behavior, I was speechless and ignored it. From that day on, Nathan followed me every day, sending meals, flowers, warmth. When I go to class, he waits outside the classroom. When I go to work, he waits outside the company. Even before I sleep at night, I can see him standing opposite through various glasses watching me. The feeling of being visually violated is really bad. In less than a week, I couldn't stand it, it was too tormenting. Helplessly, I had to call Nathan's parents. His parents are old, in poor health, always living in a nursing home. So any matters like our divorce, we hid from the 2 elders. Now this was a helpless move. As expected, Nathan left the next day. Before leaving, he came to find me, with red eyes. He asked, "Elena, do I really have no chance?" I rolled my eyes at him. "If nothing, hurry and go." Nathan left crying. I thought the matter ended here, but unexpectedly trouble came again. Nathan used the same method against me, he found my parents too. When receiving my mom's call, I had a bad premonition. On the phone, my mom cursed loudly, asking why such a big thing as divorce I didn't tell them, saying my dad was already hospitalized from anger because of my divorce. Hearing this, I quickly took leave and returned to the country. After going back, I learned my mom lied to me, my dad was fine. I was speechless, but since back, I still wanted to solve the matter at once. Facing both parents, I had a bit more patience. Nathan apologized to me very seriously, saying as long as I don't divorce, he would agree to anything. I chuckled lightly, then you go die, divorce or widowhood makes no difference to me. Upon hearing, all parents' faces changed. Especially Nathan's parents, faces black scarily. I didn't want to waste time, directly confessed Nathan and Celia's matter. Nathan behind my back got together with his divorced first love. Hearing this, Nathan's mom jumped up directly. What? You still contact that woman? What good is that shameless woman? Tell me where she makes you unable to let go, tell me. Nathan's mom was so angry that in the end, her words were incoherent. Nathan looked aggrieved. No, I just saw her pitiful, helped her for the sake of past, Celia and I really have nothing. Upon hearing, Nathan's mom sneered, there are so many pitiful people in the world, aren't the beggars living under bridges pitiful? Aren't the disabled who can't self-care pitiful? What saint are you pretending, only she needs your pity? I didn't expect the always gentle and elegant Nathan's mom to have such a irritable moment. But I fully agreed with her words, Nathan was pretending confusion while knowing, deliberately disgusting people. Nathan, I ask you, in our 5 years of marriage, how much money did you spend on me? Nathan was stunned, realizing what I was going to say. Just about to speak, but heard, you spent millions on Celia in 3 months, in our 5-year marriage, can the money you spent on me catch up to a fraction of hers? As soon as these words came out, even the always silent Nathan's dad exploded. He picked up a cup and smashed it over, Nathan took it hard, bleeding on the head. Beast, the money I earned is wasted by you like this? You, how do I have such a stupid son, when I die, I have no face to see ancestors. He also transferred our past wedding house to Celia. The one we live in now was bought later, the original wedding house from our marriage was always vacant. As a result, Celia just cried, and Nathan directly transferred it to her. A fatal blow, this conversation ended with Nathan's parents both hospitalized. 2 days later, Nathan came to find me again. He asked, why did you tell those things to my parents? Elena, you really? I blinked puzzled, countered, isn't what I said the truth? If you're afraid your parents know, then don't do these things at the beginning, now blame me, how do you have the nerve? Nathan was tongue-tied, mumbling for half a day without saying anything. After a long silence, he still asked unwillingly, Elena, can we not divorce? I promise, I've really cut clean with Celia, give me another chance, okay? Treat it as a chance to make up for past mistakes, can I? I stared at Nathan expressionlessly, asked a question I really wanted to know, Nathan, do you really not know or pretend not to? Nathan looked at me dazedly, what? I'm pregnant. Really? Nathan was full of joy, doesn't that mean I can be a dad, Saying, he suddenly paused, when did you get pregnant? We haven't for a long time. I knew this fool thought wrong, don't know when I was blind to fall for this guy. I mean before, do you know about my pregnancy? He shook his head dazedly, you were pregnant? I didn't know. Then who threw the pregnancy test on my bedside into the trash? Hearing this, Nathan subconsciously blurted, not me, I didn't. After 5 years of marriage, I could tell if Nathan was lying. So the answer was instantly clear, you brought Celia home? Upon hearing, Nathan's eyes dodged a bit, his subconscious panic betraying him. Nathan, actually later I also thought if you really didn't know about my pregnancy. But thinking back and forth, only 2 answers, 1 is you knew and still chose Celia, 2 is you didn't know, but the person you brought back touched my things. The person you can bring back, besides Celia, probably no one else. So between your cheating and you killing our child with your own hands, I can't accept either, so I thought for a long time, let's divorce, let each other go. Nathan seemed stunned by my words, didn't recover for half a day. You mean you were pregnant with our child before, and it's gone? I nodded, yes, on my birthday, I made many dishes waiting for you to come back, wanting to share this good news with you. You brought Celia's mother and child, for them you pushed me down, the child was lost. If you don't believe, you can check, or look at the photo you received, the wall in the photo has gynecology written. Hearing this, Nathan fell directly from the chair. He fell sitting on the ground, shaking his head noncommittally. Impossible, how could this be? How could I kill my child with my own hands? He looked at his hands, trembling all over. Elena, I didn't know, I really didn't. Elena, I was wrong, forgive me, okay? He pounced to my leg, hugging my calf, crying heartbrokenly, Elena, I beg you, I can't without you, give me another chance, okay? I looked down at him, picked up the phone, found Celia's contact, found a video and handed it to him. Look. The video had no image, only Nathan and Celia's voices. Brother Nathan, thank you, but Sister Elena misunderstands us, wants to divorce you, what do you plan? Nothing, she won't divorce, she just likes to be jealous, it'll be fine in 2 days. But Brother Nathan, I regret. Now I know who really treats me well, you said before, the person you most want to marry in this life is me. Now I'm alone, Sister Elena also wants to divorce you, haven't thought of being with me again? Nathan was silent for a while, hummed, thought, always thinking, never forgotten you. The video ended here, Nathan's face completely lost color. He looked at me dazedly, his crying and laughing appearance really comical. Nathan, you yourself said you've never let her go in your heart, then why not agree to divorce now? If you want to use me to set a deep affection persona, you've miscalculated. Obediently sign the divorce, part amicably, if you really want to make a big fuss, I don't mind making you infamous. With that, I picked up my bag and left. A few days later, Nathan's parents were discharged. The 2 elders no longer wanted to manage Nathan's affairs and left without looking back. My parents didn't know the details at first, now knowing the truth, they also approve of my divorce. Nathan disappeared for a few days, after returning, he agreed to divorce. Moreover, he redrafted the divorce agreement, giving most of the properties under both our names to me. The moment I got the divorce certificate, the stone in my heart finally fell, and even looking at the world became much more pleasing. He glanced at me sideways, I slightly read, Elena, can I hug you? I rolled my eyes at him, don't say such disgusting words, it affects my good mood. Words fallen, I didn't give him even an extra glance, turned and left. I took the flight that day and hurried back to Italy. Hearing Nathan's news again, surprisingly it was that he and Celia were getting married. I was shocked but also felt it somewhat reasonable. Shocked because the two had torn faces and gone to court, now surprisingly together. Reasonable because Nathan had done so much for Celia, even divorced for her, them together is quite normal. But later friends told me, it was Celia pregnant, chasing Nathan to take responsibility. Nathan didn't agree at first, but Celia was too noisy. Ran to Nathan's company to make a scene, ran to find Nathan's parents, saying she was pregnant with Nathan's child and such, angering the old couple into hospital again. Finally, seeing Nathan really not yielding, Celia told Nathan, if he doesn't agree to marry her, she'll sue him. Seeing this message, only 2 words in my mind, melodramatic. Nathan really couldn't handle the noise, so agreed. Nathan is now a laughingstock in the circle, with people saying he's a sucker who's ruined his once happy family and alienated several relatives. Even someone dug out that the child Celia brought isn't her ex-husband's. Celia cuckolded her ex-husband, later when the child enrolled and had physical, blood type didn't match the combination. That rich second-gen ex-husband did paternity test, learned the child really isn't his, angry to death. He tormented Celia for a long time, finally kicked her out. But for face, externally said he was tired of playing, so threw Celia away. Precisely because of this, Celia had more reason to play the image of a pitiful abandoned mother. Perhaps Nathan helped just seeing Celia so pitiful. But he didn't expect the truth to be so cruel. Later heard after their marriage, Nathan didn't go home all day. Someone saw Celia ambiguous with other men, Nathan indifferent. Everyone thought Nathan numb. Unexpectedly Nathan made a big move in the end. When Celia was about to give birth, he beat Celia. Celia was beaten to heavy bleeding and premature birth. The child stayed in incubator over a week, still didn't survive. Celia cried desperately. Nathan smiled beside, "Don't you love me? Love to the point of scheming my child, now I beat away your child, isn't this fair?" When friend told me this, I could even imagine Nathan's expressionless, casual appearance and tone. Nathan, this person looks easygoing, but when ruthless, really ruthless, even can lay hands on a pregnant woman. I again praised myself for the wise decision to divorce back then. After the matter, I thought they might divorce, or continue noisily. Unexpectedly Celia is ruthless, directly wanted to eliminate Nathan. She drugged Nathan, slashed Nathan's wrist to fake suicide scene. Then taking money to run, caught by police at airport. Nathan indeed couldn't be saved, died from excessive blood loss. At first Celia didn't admit killing Nathan, said she just wanted to travel abroad, not escape. But when police showed the sedative she bought online, search records online, and proof she detected Nathan's counterattack. Nathan was also preparing to deal with Celia, wanting to get back the money and house spent on Celia. While planning step by step, Celia detected the abnormality. Later she checked Nathan's phone while he slept, learned Nathan's plan, then decided to act first to eliminate Nathan. And Celia's result was sentenced to death for intentional homicide. The reason I know so clearly is when Nathan's parents called me back to attend Nathan's funeral, surrounding friends told me. I sighed for the third time that I really had foresight, otherwise messing with people like Nathan and Celia, I wouldn't know how I died. Sigh, good you divorced early, these two are more ruthless than one, in their eyes you're like a lab rat. My mom, upon learning Nathan and Celia's matters, couldn't help sighing. I smiled without speaking, followed the public to send him a flower. And Nathan's death was a big blow to his parents. I stayed abroad for 2 years, after returning, found Nathan's parents already sickly and frail. For the sake that I once called the two elders mom and dad, I did my last effort, wholeheartedly cared for their last period. After Nathan's parents passed, left a will, dividing all properties under sorry Nathan's name into 2. Half to me, half donated. To this, I gladly accepted. 8 years after Nathan's death, at 35, I met another man who loves me. But this time facing his proposal, I just smiled, dating yes, marriage no. The other party's face stiffened, turned and left. I think, now I probably don't need a man. I can enjoy him, but won't obsess over owning him anymore. My life should be rich and colorful.